welcome.
Are we on? We're live.
Yeah, I like to just
Let's
get
do
going.
it.
We
All
don't
right,
have a
cool.
we don't have a cool jingle or anything like that. So,
Yeah.
welcome to the latest episode of the Heat Locker. This is
Awesome.
actually episode 20. So there was the pilot, and then there's been 20 episodes.
Nice.
No disrespect to our previous guests, but I think our guest today. Well, you've got the most Twitter follower. What is it? Instagram
right.
followers. You're a big deal. So welcome, Iaquinta.
I appreciate it. Anytime I have a nice connection with Australia. I fought there years ago when I fought Ross Pearson in Sydney. Went back to Sydney. Did a bunch of seminars around Sydney, and then the last fight was in Melbourne.
Yeah.
And every time I've been to Australia, the people have been awesome. The food, the beaches. I love the beaches in Sydney. Had some great surfing, some great waves.
Better than Melbourne beaches, right?
There were. I didn't go to any beaches in Melbourne. They said it was an hour, 2 hours away. There was definitely a lot of good cafes, good shops. The harbor, there was the harbor, a lot of nice boats, and stuff like that. But I'm all about the beaches. I was, man, I don't know, what was it, 3 years ago? It was like I didn't have any fights coming up. I didn't have anything really going on. And I had made some good connections with a bunch of the gyms in Sydney when I was there the previous year fighting. Yeah. And I just reached out to a few of them, and I was like, hey, would you be interested in me doing a seminar here in New York in February? It's freezing cold. So I was like maybe 2 months in advance. I was like, I'm just going to go to Australia and just cruise around, surf, teach seminars, get some training in, and kind of just like clear my head. I did that, and then I came back. I remember maybe a couple days before I left, I got the call to fight Diego Sanchez, and I was in pretty good shape. I'd been training, surfing, and in between training, like every day, I was pushing my body to like the max.
From training
when I was out
Australia.
there, I was teaching. I would teach a seminar. I'd be teaching private lessons all morning. I'd go surf in the afternoon. Same thing at night, and it was just like every single day. Just great. I got a tan. I was tan in February. Coming back in March. It was if you can get a little bit of relief in a New York winter, it does wonders for just my mental everything.
Vitamin D is a real thing, and people lack it. And being here in the middle of winter, you're probably lacking in vitamin D.
I definitely think there's something with the winter and even just feeling like a little bit down, not as energetic. In the summer in New York, I wake up pretty much when the sun comes up, at 5:30 in the morning, and I'm going, outdoors doing stuff. If you have an hour to kill, I live 5 minutes from the beach. I shoot down to the beach. I can go in the water. You're always doing something. Yeah. In the winter, you get a little stagnant, and you're stuck indoors. It's so cold. It's a little, it's like I said, you can get away, and that my goal in life is the end goal is to spend like 6 months in New York, and then when it starts to get cold, like October, shoot to Sydney. Yeah. So it'll be summer, right when it turns into summer in Sydney. I get there, enjoy the summer there. It starts to get a little cold in like when is it cold?
I mean, look,
March, April. April, May.
Yeah, it's fair to say.
Come back.
March is still nice. It gets cold through like June, July. But like our winters are pretty mild anyway compared to here. Nighttime it'll get cold. Like at nighttime it'll get to 0. But during the day it's going to be like 15 to 20. It's going to be pretty comfortable. Degree Celsius.
So 0 is like freezing, right? 30 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah.
But that's at night. You're in your bed.
It's mild.
Yeah. But here that's like daytime.
Yeah, like we're like I think we're kind of stuck in the 40s, right now.
Well, out there at the moment,
it's not bad. It gets a little.
It's like what is it, like 4 degrees, 5 degrees out there at the moment Celsius.
Yeah.
In this beautiful backdrop we got. 40. Your house is beautiful too.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a lot of work. It's been a dream of mine for a very, very long time. A goal of mine to live on the water on the South Shore of Long Island, put a lot of work in. And
man, it's a beautiful neighborhood. We just
blessed.
drove around previously, and it looks, it's just spectacular. And then look at the window here. It's, we're looking at the swans cruising by. You probably can't see on the video, guys, but trust me, there's swans out there. It's beautiful. It can't be bored out. There's like a field behind us. It's fucking spectacular. Anyway, people want to hear us talk about your fighting. Then I think you've been on Ariel Helwani's show all the time. And I think that's where a lot of Australians, we got to know you because we obviously knew you through just the UFC in general.
Yep.
But we get to know people more when you can hear them talk in an interview. And you and Ariel have got like a little bit of banter. I feel like I think it's like a cool. I don't know what your actual relationship with him's like, but it seems to be like there's a certain amount of.
No, absolutely. I think definitely. There's a good amount of respect.
Yeah.
He was actually he texted me before wondering he's in his job he's texting fighters all the time like what's the newest with you, what's going on, and he cares. He wants to get the scoop. But I think for a good amount of guys he's like he roots for the fighters. He roots for the fighters in every aspect. You know what I mean? He's a fighter's fighter's person. He's all about the fighters and getting their story out the right way. He likes to stir up the pot a little bit, but I think that's what it's
I actually think he's becoming maybe more like that since the ESPN era has come in, and it's kind of becoming bigger business for him to do that. Maybe, but again, people, the average viewer especially, they love that. They love a little bit of drama, and so as much as like for you, it's probably a pain in the ass. So like for the average viewer, it like drags more people in. So it's kind of like a necessary evil, nearly, I suppose.
Well, it is. It's like the entertainment era in every aspect. Right. It's just doing whatever you can to get the fans behind you or interested in you. It's getting a little crazy, It
is, yeah.
It's getting. I'm a fan of like Colby and the way he fights, and I guess I'm a fan of the whole shtick. It's a little much sometimes.
The MAGA hat.
Yeah, it's a little much, but I don't know. I get behind. I think it's kind of funny just because how out of his mind he is.
You know what he did?
He's stuck with it this long.
He took himself from being a guy who literally was going to be cut. They said to you, we're going to cut you.
Yeah.
And he went from that to he just fought for a title.
Crazy.
I mean, look, he's a young kid. He's now probably got, a reasonable amount of money. So if you look at it from that perspective, it's hard to hate on someone. If he just kept his mouth shut, he'd be fighting in Bellator or some, maybe even, who knows? You don't know.
Yeah.
He's a good fighter, but people, the average viewer seems to care as much about the showmanship as they do about the actual fighting. Because, for someone like me who, lives and breathes martial arts, intricacies in fighting I can appreciate. But for the average dude, it's like, they're all punching each other. But this dude's kind of funny on the mic, or this guy's like wearing a crazy hat or something. He's my guy.
It's definitely... it's the WWE.
Yeah.
But they're really fighting. You know what I mean? It's less theatrics. Even MMA at its highest point of theatrics, it's not like a soap opera.
Yeah.
Like the WWE is kind of becoming maybe a little bit, and then the fights are real. There's no nonsense.
So where do you fit into that? Because you don't go out there and shit can guys, but if you've got a problem, you definitely let them know. Yeah, sorry, the mic's dead.
No, it's good.
I've been bringing this gear from the other side of the world. So
I think it's getting me good. So
yeah, you sound good. You sound good, Al.
Cool.
But people fucking love you. Like you've got a massive following. So you joined the UFC in 2012. Is that right? Was that when? Does that sound right?
I think so.
I think it was 2012.
I was on the Ultimate Fighter.
That was the series that was called The Ultimate Fighter Live. And I remember it went forever. It dragged out it was the longest season ever. So you were on the show for like 16 weeks. Wasn't it something crazy?
It was 13 weeks in the house and then another week in Vegas afterwards.
Yeah.
Where, that was insane.
Was that brutal?
It was brutal. It was brutal. I had 5 fights in 13 weeks. It was, was that 3 months?
Luckily, you don't cut a heap of weight compared to maybe some guys. But was that hard to have to keep making weight?
I made weight 3 weeks in a row, and that was definitely not optimal.
Ideal.
Yeah, it was definitely not. But we all were in kind of the same boat. So the way I thought about it was just like, you're doing this too, and I'm going to be better at it than you.
Yeah, nice.
We were in there with, I was on Team Faber. I was blessed to be on Uriah Faber's team. Out of all the coaches in the history of the Ultimate Fighter, I got to think Uriah Faber's as just a coach and in every aspect of life. I couldn't have I couldn't have been picked by a better person. He had his whole team, Team Alpha Male came to Vegas. They set up shop because he was training at the time to fight Cruz at the end of the season.
Yeah.
So they basically just moved their training camp to Vegas and trained with us. So I was on the team. I was on a team with, I think it was 8 of the top prospects.
There was some good guys on that season.
Really good.
That was a
really
good season.
Yeah. And then we had the Team Alpha Male guys too. Uriah Faber would bring in other coaches. Master Tong was there. Like Chad Mendez, Danny Castillo, TJ Dillashaw at the time was on the team. Did I say Lance Palmer? I don't know. There was so many guys.
That was their peak. I feel like that was Alpha Male's peak. They were firing on
no, it was. So every day we had the best training ever.
Yeah.
For 13 weeks straight. You can't really ask for more. It got a little monotonous in the house. They don't let you talk on the phone. They don't let you read books. They really just want like drama stirred up. And I think for the most part I got lucky in that too. There weren't too many people that were just there for the cameras or there, just to get drunk. And everybody was really focused on fighting and winning the competition. So I think we all pushed each other to a whole nother level.
Yeah, I mean, man, it's that's a huge opportunity. But a lot of the guys now, they nearly seem to go into that show. They've got a coach at home, and some of them go on that show like nearly not even respecting the coaches. It's kind of like, I'm just going to do my own thing. But you guys kind of actually, you're saying like you gravitated to like listening to Uriah and learning.
Absolutely,
that's a good attitude, but that's the attitude.
Well, I think the 13 weeks, because it was 13 weeks, he had enough time to really make a change in our fighting. I mean, I definitely, from the time I started till the time I finished, got a lot better, just like the rest of the guys on our team. There's no doubt about it. And our record on the show showed we kind of cleaned out towards the end.
Yeah.
So I think when it's shorter, the shorter seasons where it's pre-recorded, they usually do like 6 weeks, and it's kind of just like staying healthy and fighting, This was really drawn out. We got a lot better. I mean, I ended up becoming good friends with Uriah Faber. I went out to his gym afterwards and I trained with them. And I ended up learning a lot. Even this was before I got into real estate. I just seeing how he did things. He would buy houses. He would rent them out to teammates, help to pay the mortgage, and it created he was always around like-minded people, goal-oriented, and I kind of I came back here and made a little money in the UFC fighting and tried to do the same thing. I have roommates and they're all teammates and stuff, and we eat together, we train together, we look over fight videos at night, we go out together. Yeah. So it's kind of like it's a good little thing we got going on. I think a big part of that is just seeing that it was possible from what Uriah Faber created in Sacramento. So
you put the blueprint down and you kind of follow, because he's known for being a savvy businessman. I think as much as I don't even know Uriah, but from the outside, he seems to be good at organizing and he's motivated and he makes things happen.
He's definitely a good leader.
Yeah,
100%.
And that goes a long way. Like there's plenty of guys that have got all the ideas, but they don't put it into action. And Uriah seems to be like, I've got an idea. Let's do it. Let's start this clothing brand. Let's do that. I mean, he's got that many different things on the run.
Yeah. He's got a lot. He's got a lot going on, and he's able to really do everything and still. I mean, he's been at the top of the fight game for how long?
Yeah. He couldn't give that bug. Must be addictive. I mean, you will understand it more than I'll ever understand it, but that bug must be addictive, because I feel like he left. He won that. He had a good run. He left, and he just couldn't. He had to come back.
Yeah,
and he came back to that Pitbull Piotr Jan. Yeah,
I mean, he came back and he won a big fight.
Exactly right. He beat the dude with the mohawk. His name's evading me, but he knocked him out, didn't he?
Yep. Hit him with overhand right, and then finished him on the ground. And then the what's his name? Piotr Jan. Jan. That's right.
I mean, that guy's right. He could fight at the belt tomorrow.
I mean, he's And Uriah he was in there with the guy.
Yeah.
He got caught, and then from there was kind of
Right at the end of the third, maybe. Yeah.
You know, it's a tough game, especially he's got a lot going on right now. So I think it's tough when to know when to stop. But he just came off a big knockout win, so ride it out, and who knows? I think he'll end up fighting again, but I think it's just the opponents. At this point, he just have fun with it, and he's still a top guy in the world.
Yeah.
So he's just he's awesome. I always watch that guy fight whenever he's fighting. He's one of the guys that you hear he's fighting.
You hear his music come
exactly.
on.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's got a big following.
Yeah.
You've had some really good influences with your coaching. Really, had a chance to meet Ray Longo today. He seems like an awesome dude.
Awesome.
Got Matt Serra.
Awesome.
I mean, you're in just having those guys alone is phenomenal. And then the access to really high level jiu-jitsu, and I feel like you're in a perfect spot here as far as you don't have to go too far to get really good training.
No, absolutely. I've been blessed with Long Island is a small, tight-knit community. Most of us came from a wrestling background and then got into fighting. Excuse me. Got into fighting and kind of all just ended up at the same spot, you know what I mean? I wrestled against Aljamain Sterling's team. I wrestled against Volante's team. Yeah, we'll try and help you with that. Yeah, I wrestled against Weidman. I didn't wrestle against them individually, but our teams wrestled against each other. I remember watching, Weidman and Volante, a couple of years older than me, going through the county tournament, winning the counties, and so we all knew who each other was. Yeah. We didn't really know each other or were friends, but we all became friends afterwards, and just because of our upbringing in the same area, we all have such a close bond. We're very similar in a lot of ways.
It's a cool group of guys.
Yeah,
there's good vibe there.
It's good. It really is. Yeah. It's and then with Ray and Matt, we get to the gym and it's just jokes, laughs. Yeah. We're bullshitting and busting balls. But when it's time to work, we work. And then afterwards, same thing. It's never I have to go to the gym. There's people that I really don't care to see, and I feel like at a lot of gyms that can be the case where you're like, oh, I gotta train with this guy.
Yeah.
But here
it's just a business thing, whereas this seems more like a family. That's the impression I kind of get.
No, absolutely. You're looking out for each other, and
it's
really when these guys fight, I'm just it's more nerve-wracking when they fight than when I do, just because you want everyone to do so well.
When you haven't got the control, have you?
Yeah, and you see really how much work everyone's putting in. Yeah. You know what I mean? So you just want the best for everyone, and we're lucky. We've been pretty fortunate in that aspect.
I mean, you're putting out some high level guys from a relatively small sort of area in a smallish gym. It's not, if you're going to compare it to like an ATT or something like that, it's phenomenal what you guys are doing. There's obviously something there that's, the formula is nice. There's something going on.
Yeah, Ray and Matt have created something great here where it's not. It really just draws a certain type of person. Yeah. There's no ego. Those kind of people, the people that don't fit, they usually don't end up at our gym, and if they do, they leave pretty quickly because there's no ego. Everyone's trying to help each other. Everyone's fun, and it's a good time. It's a good atmosphere.
Yeah. So when I was looking at some of your info, I didn't realize you had 14 amateur fights. And you won every one of them as well, which is a nice little byproduct there. So you've actually got a lot of experience. What do you like 30 plus fights now?
Probably. Yeah, I'd say 30. I was fighting like twice a month for 2 years. Really, I was an amateur.
That's mad.
I was fighting
every
like
2
crazy.
Weeks?
Yeah, really fighting every 2 weeks, and had a bunch of kickboxing fights. Did a bunch of grappling tournaments, and I just knew that I was gonna go pro, and I wanted to get as much experience in the amateurs when it like kind of didn't count, before I went pro, and I did that, and I think that it helped tremendously with my career just from the experience standpoint. I started off my amateur as just like a wrestler.
Yep.
I was just taking guys down and controlling them. I think that my first 8 fights were all decisions.
Right.
I just was taking guys down and just controlling them. I mean, it was probably a little bit more of the entertaining wrestling type fights, so it wasn't too boring. But then I started really falling in love with the striking and going into my pro career. I think really fell in love with my boxing.
I mean, you're known as a big puncher now. That's your thing. You're like guys know if they're fighting Iaquinta that they've got to be careful about getting knocked out with probably one big shot. How did that? Is that something that you think you've just always had? Like I was talking in the car before about some guys just seem to have rock in their hands. Is that something you reckon you always had, and it was just Longo brought you to a skill level where you could implement that on someone, or was it just all his hard work? That brought you through to that ability to knock guys out?
A lot of it's just the confidence. I was really confident in my wrestling, and then training with Ray, he got me really confident with my hands. And I think it's more time, a big timing thing, a big visual thing, seeing the openings for punching. But then, there's definitely got to be a natural ability to punch a certain way and get those knockout shots. But you could hit hard, and if you hit a guy on the top of his head, it's really a lot about accuracy as much as it is about punching power.
So if you're fighting a guy, especially a lot of these guys listening, probably aren't pro fighters. If you're fighting a guy, are you thinking, I want to put this right hand on the side of his ear? Am I looking at his jaw? Or are you just kind of looking, I'm just going to set it up and it's going to land because I practiced to kind of punch that direction? Or are you thinking to yourself, I'm actually aiming to put my fist through his jaw here? Like, what's that mindset?
The fights where I've knocked people, like really hurt them on the feet and then ended up finishing them, whether it be
the Pearson one was a good
TKO
example.
or even like the Diego Sanchez where it was just a flat
that
KO.
Was perfect, yeah.
I had never visualized more clearly that scenario than before the Diego fight. And I don't know what it is. I'm trying to really tap into that. I did a lot of there's the sports science lab in Staten Island is probably as far as being on the forefront of technology and training. They are it. They are the spot. It's 2 small houses in Staten Island. If you drive by, you'd think they're two houses, but inside these 2 houses it's like multi-million-dollar worth of equipment and physical training, strength and conditioning, rehab, but the most. I mean, they have really everything that a normal place would have.
Yeah.
But then they have the sports science lab, which is more. It's the second building. Is a lot of brain training, hand-eye coordination, visualization, and I mean, they have so many different techniques and different exercises that you do. I leave that place. Like my brain is like scrambled. Like
right.
I feel like exhausted, mentally exhausted.
That's interesting.
From the hand-eye coordination drills that we do. A lot of the thinking, timing, metronome stuff where you're hearing a sound and reacting to it. Almost, to I don't know. I don't even know the 0.0001 of a second. You know what I mean? And it tests you. It grades you. And there's a bunch of different exercises. So I think the sports science lab, that was a big part of the Diego Sanchez fight. I had a few injuries that I was dealing with, so I spent more time training the mental aspect. And I think visualization. I would drive to Staten Island probably 2 or 3 days a week, and I would just be seeing myself hitting Diego Sanchez with that shot. And I swear I saw it a million times.
Wow.
And
it was a right hand. It was kind of like an overhand right, like straight right, top punch. Remember?
The finishing shot was just a straight right hand right down the pipe. He was kind of throwing a looping left hook, and I saw him start to throw a punch, and I just beat him clean to it. Just clean to it. And at the Sports Science Lab, they have a Fit Light, where there's a few lights and they light up, and you have to, as they light up, you have to hit the light, and you're hitting it. Maybe you're not actually hitting the light because you'd hurt your hand. It's got a sensor on it, So you've got to get within about an inch of it.
Okay, you kind of flick your hand.
Yeah, you're throwing
you punch it.
You're throwing a full hard punch.
All right.
And I mean, at the end, you're exhausted because these lights come on. Maybe 3 will flash.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. You got to hit 3 out. Then 5 will flash. Ba 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 ba. But on the first one, you're really trying to pin, and then you're hitting the rest after. And it has such a good. You see it and you hit it. You're very direct. And I swear that was like. I was just visualizing myself aiming for his chin and just hitting that exact spot every time that light went on. And I think that played a big factor in that fight.
So if you're giving advice to a young guy, he doesn't have access to something like that, would you say to him, but if he's doing pad work rather than just kind of lumbering along, that to actually focus on your reaction time or your speed of kind of making that, like, do you think that's where you can make the difference? Being able to pull that trigger quicker than the other guy.
Visualizing yourself hitting what you want to hit and seeing it. Before I go to bed. This is something that I did before I even knew about like visualization or any of like the mental aspect side of. I'd go to wrestling practice. I'd have a tournament the next day, and in my head I'd be like, oh, I want to hit this move. I want to hit that move. And I was getting mental reps in, and then the next day I would hit those moves in the matches, and I think that, bringing that over into MMA and really turning it up a notch with in regards to just visualization and seeing things happen and kind of just bringing it into existence definitely has a huge factor in it.
Man, you got such an interesting career, and we're going to run out of time because we're actually going to go to training after this. We're going to go over to Sarah's Jiu-Jitsu Academy. There's a class run over there by kind of my current coach / mentor, Jason Rao. He's also, I think, probably one of your jiu-jitsu coaches as well.
Absolutely.
What about, we've got a lot of guys that listen to this podcast that are into jiu-jitsu. Do you enjoy doing jiu-jitsu? I mean, you've actually got a submission grappling comp coming up, which is fucking awesome.
Yeah, Mike Perry.
Yeah.
February 23rd, I'm going to do my best to slam him on his neck and rip off one of his limbs.
That's going to be the finishing move.
I'm going to try to do everything in the rules. I can't punch the guy, but even though I'd like to. But everything.
You actually don't like him, or is there?
I mean, he's not that I don't like him. I kind of feel bad for him, but he's just so out of his mind.
He's a wild man.
Thank God for fighting, because if it wasn't for fighting, that guy would be.
Fighting's good.
He'd be in jail for sure.
I think he might have actually gone to jail.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he gone to jail. Yeah,
and I mean, I just think he's like a strong. I can't see him being. I really can't see him. I don't know. I think it's a good match for me.
Yeah. Yep.
He's bigger. He's gonna be bigger and stronger. But I think that technique wise, I'm just on a whole nother.
I think the quality of training partners as well is going to be like your access to high level jiu-jitsu is unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm wrestling with guys that all American wrestlers. I'm doing jiu-jitsu with the guys that are the best guys in the world. Yeah. Was he gonna have a 10, 15 pound strength advantage, weight advantage? I don't think that's gonna save him. But
and he's not really known. Like I don't think he did wrestling through college, like school and stuff. I don't think he's known as being like a slick wrestler. It's just going to be purely the size thing you're going to have to deal with. Yeah. And it's a 5-minute round, so that's when we were talking. It's like got to get to work and
that's definitely to his advantage. I think the shorter round. I think if it was, but I
think it was no time limit. I think like 100%.
Oh
you win. You submit him at some stage.
Yeah. But it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I'm going to be pumped to watch it. So that's going to be on Chael Sonnen's Submission Underground.
Yep, Fight Pass.
Which seems it seems to have like, I don't know whether the UFC's got like a little bit of a backing of that. They seem to be attracting a lot of the UFC guys. That I got a feeling, I don't know whether it's just because Chael's running it, but they may even have some. They might have a bit of money in the pot too.
Oh no, definitely. I mean, it's on Fight Pass. They want the viewers to tune into Fight Pass to watch the matches. So they're definitely. UFC Fight Pass is pumping that show up, and they got some good fighters in it. It's exciting. It's cool to kind of switch it up. I think that I haven't shown a lot of my grappling in my fights and stuff, and I probably should, and I think maybe this will kind of switch my focus up. I'll get I've been really focusing
just on grappling.
Yeah, a lot of. I mean, I'm still hitting pads. I haven't really been sparring too much. Just I took a little bit of took some punches in my last 2 fights. So just want to kind of recover, feel good, get a lot of wrestling, jiu-jitsu, and step that game up. And,
man, I think that's so important to give your brain a rest. Like this, how often do you see guys come back in after taking some shots, getting rattled or getting knocked out? They take that next fight too soon, and they get starched. Their brain just wasn't where it needed to be.
Yeah,
and it just seems to be too often to be just luck. Like I think it's obviously a thing. There's something where the brain's just not recovered yet. So that's super smart. Like you don't need to be. I mean, you've done so much sparring and fighting that you don't need to be doing that every day like some maybe young guy does that it's coming through, I suppose, as well.
Absolutely. I think that's the biggest key. I mean, I could probably get my timing back and pretty quick.
In like a couple of weeks,
I'll be in shape. I know how to fight at this point, fine-tuning a few little things, and then, get the sparring in like before a fight, really get the timing down, get used to being in some uncomfortable positions in a fight situation. We have some pretty hard sparring sessions. But
you don't need to be like, Ray Longo doesn't need to be like, oh, I want to see whether Al can take a shot. It's like, we already know you're tough. We know, like, they don't, you need to test that on some guy that you've got coming through, but they don't need to test that with you.
Yeah.
You just got to prepare for the fight now, right?
Yep.
And is that something you think a lot of guys, I mean, MMA is such a brutal fucking sport. There's so many guys that you see start to get to that point where they just get, they get a bit scrambled. Like you definitely don't seem to be there, and you seem to be so cognizant and you're switched on, and you don't seem to be experiencing any.
Oh, well, thank you. Sometimes I question that in myself. I forget.
Maybe it's all the coffee we had.
I do. I do laps. But you know what? The thing is, thank God I did this before I even started fighting. Well, I'll leave my house. And I go, oh, shit, I forgot this thing. I'll run in the house. I'll get something, and I'll run out of the house. Still forgetting the thing that I came in to get.
Yeah.
I'll do it again. And sometimes it takes me like 3 or 4 laps. My legs are pretty strong from just walk. I do like 10 laps. I do like 10 extra stair climbs a day from forgetting things. But it was before.
Yeah, is that just you as a person?
I think it's just me.
I think some people are just like, See, I'm the opposite. I'm this. You just saw me like unpack all my gear. It's like I've got this and I've got this organized. But some guys, and I kind of sometimes wish I was like that, where it's kind of like, shit'll work it out. It's all fine.
Yeah,
maybe you're like that type of guy.
Yeah, I think I'm just kind of floating through this thing. You know what I mean? And but when I train, this is a little different. You know what I mean? But maybe that's it. I'm saving all my focus for the things that matter.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I like it. So a lot of people that didn't know you, so hardcore fight fans knew you forever. We've been watching you since you came into the UFC. Local guys here have known you on Ring of Combat and all this sort of stuff. But I mean, fortunately or unfortunately, with all the crazy shit that happened in Brooklyn and Connor beat up everyone on the bus and everyone else that was around, and you kind of did what we call a Stephen Bradbury. You wouldn't know what that means. So at the Winter Olympics, Australia, I feel like we never had a gold medalist in. It was like the sprint. It was like the 500 meter sprint on the ice skating, right?
Okay.
And he made it to the final somehow. Had no right to make it the final. He makes it the final. I'm sure his name is Stephen Bradbury. It's called doing a Bradbury, right? Everyone's raced. They do like a couple of laps.
Yeah.
So they're all going around. And on the last corner, he's way behind, nowhere to be seen. They all fall over and fucking wipe him out. And he comes through and wins the gold medal.
Okay.
So it's called doing a Bradbury. You came through. You were fighting Felder that time. Next thing you're in against Khabib Nurmagomedov. Tell us about that crazy fucking experience. I know, and I don't mean like for you he's just another fighter, but like to the average person, it's like that's a big spot, No,
that was the whole 3-day period was just insane. The Thursday media day, I squared off against Felder after the media interviews, fighting Paul Felder at that point. Get on the bus to go back to the hotel. Connor destroys the bus, throws things through it.
And you were on. So you were telling me you were on Khabib's bus because you weren't due to fight him yet.
Yeah.
So you were actually on the bus.
He was sitting directly right behind me.
Yeah.
So we were gonna be, we were like in the same corner.
Yeah.
I guess as far as like red and blue corner, we were on the same side. So I was on his bus, and even then I had like a kind of like a weird a weird feeling. Like I don't want to get too friendly with this guy or anything. Even when the bus got attacked, we all got brought back in. The police came and they were like looking at the scene and everything. And Khabib was joking, one of the UFC employees, when the bus got hit with that dolly thing and glass shattered, he put his head down and covered his head, and he got into like the
fetal position,
the plane crashing fetal position.
Yeah.
So Khabib was kind of joking to his name was Chris Provino at the time. It was like, "Oh, Provino, you got into the plane crash position." And I was standing there, we were kind of like laughing, but something I was like, "This is, I'm gonna fight this guy I'm gonna fight this guy one day." So I don't want to be like too like friendly. I'm like, I don't like to be, I respect him, but if I'm gonna fight him, I don't really want to like be like too friendly or whatever.
Yeah.
But and then it ended up the next morning. It was supposed to be Ferguson who got hurt.
This was Wayne Day, right? Friday? Yeah, it was the rain day.
Yeah, so the bus thing happened.
Yeah.
Mike Chiesa gets pulled because he got cut.
Yep.
That night we all go back and cut weight. The next morning we find out Max Holloway isn't going to be allowed to weigh in.
That's right.
Because of whatever. I had already weighed in. I was 155.2. So for a title fight, you got to be 155 on the dot. Mm-hmm. At the time, I was fighting in 156. So I just weighed in with my underwear on. I made my weight class 156, which is so I made weight. And then if I would have known that it was going to be a title fight, I would have taken the underwear. I would have been 155 on the dot. Mm-hmm. So the commission, I was lobbying for the fight. I was like, I was texting Shelby. My manager was like, who else are you going to go with? Felder. He's kind of like the UFC's guy as a commentator or whatever. So I guess I don't know why they would have been looking at him. I think Anthony Pettis kind of priced himself out of the fight. He was asking for a lot of money. And so it ended up, it was me. They called me and they're like, bring your underwear down to the scale. So they wanted to see how much my underwear weighed. It was 0.2, but then they said it's got to be the actual weight, this and that. It was whatever. So it was kind of like a title fight, but it kind of wasn't. But I got the fight. Yeah. So after all that, now I'm the headliner at the Barclays Center on like 24 hours notice. It was everything just happened so fast. That whole thing was like a whirlwind. And I remember being like in the moment and being like, all right, this is crazy. I just got to slow this thing down, figure out, game plan. I was in such a good spot and I didn't even really like look at Khabib's videos that night. I was just like, I'm going to go out there and just do what I do. Just go in there, fight, just wing it. You know what I mean? Not wing it, but just kind of like have fun with it kind of thing. And, guy was tough. The guy is tough. Fight, you know what I mean? The 5-round, it was supposed to be a 3-round fight. Now it's a 5-round fight. Yeah. He's been training for 5. I was training for 3. And I mean, I'm always confident in my stamina and stuff, but I guess in the back of my head, that might have been a little thing. A few times he had me up against the cage, and I was kind of just like waiting it out. And I don't know. Going back now, I could say a million things. It was this, it was that.
I know that's not in your nature.
On the night, he was just freaking big and strong, and he controlled me the first 2 rounds. My arms kind of filled up with the blood, and I was like a little slow, a little sluggish after that. Surviving. I guess he put me in some bad spots in the first 2 rounds, but I don't think it was too crazy. Then in like the 4th round, I think he got me down. I was like mounted and he had my back and whatnot. But really, the first 2 were more up against the cage. I feel like a lot of cage. I was kind of leaning up against the cage, but and he surprised me with his striking. You're so. When he got Conor, Conor was so worried about the takedown that he faked, kind of like just dropped his level, comes over with the overhand right, and you don't see it coming because you're expecting that takedowns. So,
but I definitely felt you were the better striker of the two. There was no question about that.
yeah.
It's just the threat of his wrestling adds that.
Exactly.
Like if you guys would have a boxing match, I think you would probably fairly easily beat him. But because there's that threat of fuck, I've got to get down for a sprawl, and then he drags your hands down, I suppose, with that.
Yeah. It's a game changer.
Yeah,
it's a game changer. And then the 5-round thing kind of.
Yeah.
I was a little. I didn't want to get the takedown thing, and then plus the 5-round thing. I didn't really like let it go. I feel like I had like little spurts of where little spurts of stuff that I should have been doing the whole time. But you
feel like you were throttling, like I didn't want to go too hard.
Yeah.
I felt like in the open mat wrestling, I don't think in the open mat he did very well against you. It was only once he put you against the cage. I think he shot a lot of singles and you kind of limped out and turned.
The first shot he shot was a low single.
Yeah.
And he just kind of like bear hugged it.
Yes.
He was not letting go of that leg. And I was like, oh man, I'm trying to rip it out. And he got the takedown there. But then my goal was just not to be against the cage. I didn't want to be against the cage. And he got me there a few times. And that's when he did it. That's when he got his big takedowns. But yeah, the dude is good. The guy's been freaking wrestling bears since he was a teenager or even younger. So there's definitely someone's gonna beat him, and it's the fight with Ferguson's a tough one, but we'll see.
You experienced it. It's a different thing to see a guy, to look at, to hear about a guy. But once you go with a guy, same in jiu-jitsu, right? I can hear about people, but then once you go with them, you're like, okay, I've got a good feel for it.
Yeah.
I mean, I imagine your feeling must have been like, fuck, I can beat this guy. Is that right, or am I like? Is that what that mindset is like? If I had that extra fitness, if I had that prep, did it kind of validate how good you were? Because I think that validated it for a lot of people that maybe didn't know before.
No, absolutely. I think, just it definitely got my confidence up. I went on, had a big win against Kevin Lee. The following fight.
One of your favorite guys.
Oh God, I can't stand the guy. But I mean, he's all right. He's whatever. He's just he doesn't get it. He's the uncrowned champ of the lightweight division right now. I don't know. But
you know what was nice? He did do very well against Gregor Gillespie.
He did.
Who's another New York? Is he a New Yorker?
He's a New Yorker.
Yeah, another good wrestler out of New York.
Yeah.
They say with Gregor that if it wasn't for Burroughs, that he would have been on the Olympic team. Is that right? Are they in the same weight? Are they 74?
I don't know.
I feel like it might be. Like they said, he's that good.
No,
that's how good
his wrestling's very good.
Did you wrestle with him? He's a bit younger, isn't he?
No, I think he's my age.
Is he?
I think he's around the same age.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I never really. I wrestled with him. I went down to Hofstra. I wrestled with him once.
Yeah.
He just like controlled me the whole time. It wasn't a fun wrestling match, but at the time I hadn't been wrestling, so we were like going from top and bottom. I really wanted to work to stand up. But I mean, look, you look at like, I mean, I don't know how that was like the first kind of test he had was Kevin Lee, and
he was 12-0 or something before that.
Yeah. I mean, the first like high level guy. I mean, Kevin,
he set that up nice, and that was his first. Because he's at TriStar now.
That
was probably his first time with some good coaching. So who knows? We might see, with for us, Sahabi, I'm not sure what your thoughts are there, but I think that guy's very well respected across the industry, and it'll be interesting to see whether he can change. He's got probably a pretty good basis there as far as physically with Kevin.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see where he goes next.
Yeah.
I wonder if the trilogy will come around. But you're 2-0 against him at the moment.
I'm 2-0. I don't think.
Makes no
honestly,
sense
I
for
don't
you.
think I'm ever gonna lose to that guy. I think on my worst day, I just got like a big brother.
Oh,
I'm his big brother.
Just
you know what I mean? Yeah, he's. I feel like I could lose. What is it? I could lose 14 minutes of the fight, and in the 15th minute, it'd be all mine, and that would be the end of it. It doesn't matter. Whatever happens, I'm winning the fight, just one way or the other.
You know what I love, and we're talking about it today. I love how you. Sorry about that mic stand.
No, it's all good, man.
We need a sponsor to come on here and sponsor my mic
Let's
stand.
go.
I love how in a fight you're going for leg locks. There's not many guys doing it, and I really feel like that's an evolution of the game that's definitely got some potential. So I feel like for a long time there was this rubbish thing. Leg locks, you'll just get punched in the face. It's no good. And look, maybe if you suck at leg locks, but I think if you're good, you realize that if I can keep his hips on the mat, he can't reach me. If I can break his leg off, he's done. So I feel like, is that something we're going to get to see more of you? I mean, we don't want to give away any of your secrets, of course.
Yeah, I've been. I mean, there's probably like three or four fights where I've gone for heel hook. In my last fight against Hooker, I went for a heel hook, and I think it was really towards the end of the round, and I was like rushing it a little bit. But I think I take my time, and now the things that I've learned since then, how I could have finished it.
Yep.
You know, you live and you learn. But I think that my overall jiu-jitsu game is really getting tightened, tighter and tighter, and I would get in a lot of good positions, but I just wouldn't. I was just a little bit off from getting the big finishes. So, you know, I think taking this grappling match at the right time, really focus on these things, you know, because I've been training hard, but more like the stand. I think it's good taking a little time away, focusing on some different stuff, getting my my overall health right, training healthy for a long period of time. I was really just getting healthy and then getting a fight.
Yeah.
You know, so I didn't have that time to just train, get better.
Because you had some knee injuries like last year before. I remember there was like an ongoing thing and you were really worried about it. I remember just going, fuck, we want Al in the cage and he just can't get healthy. And
a bunch of injuries, figured out how to make it work. Yeah. I feel the best I've ever felt. And yeah, I'm just training hard and just tightening things up, nothing crazy.
What are your thoughts on, so I was talking to a lot of all these high level jiu-jitsu guys, right? There's guys literally now doing jiu-jitsu as a full-time job. They're training it, they can make money out of super fights. And what I notice is they're getting this precise technique, they're all studying, but then they finish training and that's it. Everyone has a shower, no one does any recovery stuff, and everyone wonders why they're fucking banged up and their knees are fucked and everything. Something I swear by is the sauna after training. I get in the sauna. We get a sauna at my academy.
Nice.
And we get in the sauna, and I'm telling you, the days I sauna, which is pretty much religiously, but if I don't, I pull up sore the next day.
Yeah.
And I use that opportunity to stretch and kind of mentally. Do you use sauna? I'm interested to think do you have the ability to get in the sauna and do that after training or?
So we don't have one at either of the gyms that I train at, Sarah's or Law, but I do a lot of swimming and like physical therapy type exercises, leg workouts at a gym right down the block here, the Freeport Rec Center. So swimming I think is one of the best for MMA, jiu-jitsu. It's low impact on your body. Mm-hmm. You know, it's a full body workout. I do 3 5-minute rounds swimming. I'll do like an easy lap and then a sprint.
Yeah.
And I exhaust myself on the sprint and then try to recover on the next lap and then sprint. I do that. It usually takes me 5 minutes to get 6 laps, 3 laps in, I think, I don't know, 6, 3, whatever it is. It's 3 5-minute rounds and I'm exhausted by the end of it. You know, my arms just look jacked, like freaking, you know, your blood, the lactic acid buildup in your entire body is just crazy. So I do that, and then I go in the sauna, and I kind of just...
Oh, yeah, so you jump in?
Yeah, get in the sauna, maybe like 20 minutes, do maybe like 2 rounds, 10 minutes, and stretch out, kind of visualize, breathe. And, I mean... A lot of guys have been swearing by it. I think it definitely...
Look, I'm that big a proponent of it that, like, I would say get one in your house if you can. Like, I'm telling you, this place is a fucking sick joint. You got fighters coming in.
Might have to get
I'm telling you, man,
a sauna.
Get a sauna put in. They're like 4 or 5. Because the other thing, there's a nice social thing to it. Like at the academy, it's nice. You know, people, you might end up chatting to someone just about their day or, you know, chatting about their stuff you wouldn't talk about on the mats.
Yeah.
And at the same time, like, you're getting that sort of regenerative thing that it does.
Absolutely.
So
awesome.
I swear by it. And it's funny, like, only since Rogan's got on it have so many other people decided, but I've been into it for like 15 years. And if you listen to that, did you ever listen to Rhonda Patrick?
Yes.
I mean, she tells you the actual science behind it. She's just literally doing good things for you. Yeah, I think it's huge. But that's what I say. And I wonder how much of the UFC guys are the same, where they're doing all the best training, pushing their bodies to the red line, and they're just not doing that. it's like they're not even considering the other half, which is rest and recovery. Like sleep is massive. Have you got any thoughts on that, or do you just catch it when you can, or do you try to get good sleep?
No, I try to. I try to. It's I wake up early. Even
you're a morning guy?
I can't sleep past 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
So if I go to bed late, it's not good because I wake up and I'm up, So I got to really try to get to bed early and get a good night's sleep. And I think it's really just, it's everything. Everything has to be just dialed in. The best I feel training wise is like I'll fall asleep almost like the same time every night, and I wake up and I'll see the clock will be like this same, you see 7:01. You're waking up at 7:01, 3, 4, 5
that's
days.
actually, like, scientifically, that's really good.
Yeah. That's when I feel the most dialed in. My meals are regimented. My training is kind of like on a similar schedule. That's when it's really, and it takes a solid month for you of real focus to really like get that habit down. And then once it becomes a habit, then you're just like cruising, I think that's it's like a flow state of life. You're going through the motions, and the motions are getting better. You're keeping a journal of the moves you learned. You have a specific time of when you're writing down your daily log, daily journal, goal setting. If you do it the best is if you're regimented to do it at the end of the week. How did I progress in my goals this week? Where can I make little adjustments to increase it? And it's just the forming of the habit of that is the biggest thing. Once you're in the habit of it, that's it's like anything else. You get in the habit of eating good, then you're good. It's just that first like 4 weeks of you're struggling with yourself to do it and focus. And that's what I think. That's my kind of theory on the whole thing.
Rock solid advice right there.
Yeah. I think it's just, that's it. It's like, if you get in the habit of not going out every weekend, it's some people they're addicted to like going out and getting drunk until 5 o'clock in the morning, Friday, Saturday. I've been there, and
is that where Ragin comes out?
Yeah, that's definitely.
I haven't met Ragin yet.
That's definitely a part of it. No, I get, and that's the thing. You get in those where that's like almost like normal.
Well, that's your routine. It's like you just spoke about how easy it is to get into once you get into a good routine. Lots of people are living lives where they're just in a shit routine. And they don't know their buddies are in the same routines, and they just all go on this thing. And some people never even realize it. Yeah. Never realize how much a happier or better life they could be living.
No, that's the scariest thing to me. Is like you're unconsciously unaware of what you could be doing. Like no one's bringing it to your attention, and that's why I'm so thankful that like the people that I've had around me, and I found Ray Longo, I found Matt Serra, because if I slip up, they're gonna let me know in one way or the other. But so you're just being conscious of what you're capable of and how to get there. It's like some people can have goals to do something, but they just have it's like you look at people. Some people, they come to the gym and they're like, I want to be a UFC champion, and then you're like, oh wow, he's talking. They're talking the game, but then you see how they train and you see how they eat. And you're just like, oh man, it's too bad, because he really thinks he's gonna be a UFC champion.
The words aren't enough,
but yeah, it's just so it's a crazy thing. It's a crazy thing. It's a constant evolution of life and just learning and finding that state where you're doing the right things, and you got to go out and have fun and.
Yeah, I mean, it's about then it's about balance. Like as important as what we're talking about with the routines, I think balance is definitely important. But people screw up with the balance, right? They think they deserve. I think I deserve to eat this fucking shit food. I deserve to have a case of beer. And it's like, well, no, you don't, motherfucker. You done nothing a week.
Yeah.
You don't deserve to do that. You're like, you've got to earn this if you want to do that, and they get that balance wrong.
No, it's this age seems to be real crazy with like Instagram, like people they think they're entitled to go on.
Yeah,
it's like it's my birthday weekend, we're gonna do like a whole. It's like, all right, well, if your goal is to get this done, you can't really there's got to be a balance. Like you said,
Yeah.
there's got to be a balance of where you want to go. If you want to have the best birthday parties every year and like go to nice places and stuff, you're going to probably pay for it in another aspect of your life, unless you got to get like ahead of the game. You get ahead of the game to where you're making
You got some credit.
Yeah, you got some credit. You got some passive. You got some ways to make some money where you can do these things without really just grinding on all gears and surviving.
Well, I think it's awesome that you decided to get into real estate, because when I heard that, I was like, this is perfect. Finally, a fighter that's actually thinking past, just making money while the UFC's around, so even though, like, we were talking before, you said you want to focus on fighting now. I mean, that you can always go back to that. Like, and you've already got, you're in the game now. You understand how it works. Like, do you feel like that's something you could see yourself doing, after fighting, that you'd be,
No, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that everything has happened is like a blessing. It was probably my lowest point in my life where my knee was jacked up and I was having trouble with the UFC paying for the surgery. So it kind of forced me to figure out another way to get some income going. And I got into the real estate thing. And one of my friends was doing this investment course where he teaches about investing in real estate, and I didn't know whether I wanted to be a real estate salesperson or whether I wanted to invest. So it kind of like all worked out to where I'm now investing a little bit. I'm still doing the sales, but I'm trying to put it all on the back burner. But I mean, the real estate thing is just it's such a good thing to have. It's like real estate.
House is always going to be there.
House is always going to be like real estate. It's something I don't know much about, but like the stock market is another thing. Like if you learn the stock market, I feel like it's something you always gonna have. You know what I mean? It's just a blessing that I was able to take the work ethic that I developed wrestling and fighting and bring that over to selling real estate, because I don't think there was no one really, those people, I don't think anyone even saw someone that worked as hard as me. When it was real estate, it was like, I was like training for world title, UFC. Like I was training to be a real estate salesman person. I was setting goals. I was doing all this stuff that I was doing for like goal setting. I was going to seminars. I was doing like going above and beyond, because that's really what it takes in anything, So I was fortunate to be able to meet the people in fighting that I met and learn the formula, and I kind of carried that over to real estate. And so I think once you really get something down, whatever it is, it's to figure out the formula, and you can recreate that in anything you do. I think that like you take a guy like Uriah Faber and you drop him anywhere in the world, and you tell him he's got to do something, he's doing it. He's a doer. He's like, he knows the formula. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I fucking love that. That's spot on. And once success breeds success. Once you know how to generate it in one area, there's no reason why you can't apply that to that next thing.
Absolutely.
What about we're gonna wrap it soon, because we've been talking. You're probably sick of talking to me.
No,
but this is awesome, man. We're getting so much.
Yeah.
And the other thing, I want people to get to know you more than just an interview, just talking about a fight. So it's really cool to kind of get to know you more. I could sit here and talk to you for hours.
No, it's awesome. Awesome.
So you're a purple belt at the moment, right? We're talking about goal settings. Is a goal to get most people that do jiu-jitsu would like to try and get to, say, black belt eventually. Is that something you'd like to try and do eventually, or is jiu-jitsu just a sort of side thing where...
That's funny. I had years back when I first got into jiu-jitsu, my goal was to be a black belt in jiu-jitsu. And I don't know, for some reason the belt, I haven't put the gi on in a while, so I'm not really the color of the belt to me isn't so much of a thing. It's more like I just want to be no gi. I want to be able to compete with these guys that are the best in the world,
You're at the right spot. That's it.
I'm surrounded by the best people to make it happen. So definitely would be a great thing to be like, oh, I'm a
Yeah.
black belt in jiu-jitsu, you know. But I think it'd be more for me. I'd rather be a purple belt that can tap out all the black belts, and you know that's more important than I'd rather be a purple belt tapping out black belts than be a black belt getting tapped by purple belts. If it, you know, that's more my theory on it. But what an honor when you get a black belt. It's like a validation of all the hard work.
Yeah.
It's a lifetime of work. There's
is.
people that just never get there. So I think that's definitely you know. It'll come one day, and I mean, it's a lifetime. Jiu-jitsu is especially with the gi on, it's a lifetime sport. So if it ever comes to it where I'm not fighting anymore, I think that'll probably be something that is like kind of full. I'll sell real estate and I'll do gi jiu-jitsu.
Gi jiu-jitsu, don't do that. I don't like talking to people who do gi jiu-jitsu.
Oh, you don't mess around the gi, huh?
So we have fundamental classes. They're in the gi. I teach one of those a week. All my intermediate and advanced basically now are no gi.
Okay.
It's the direction that I enjoy going. So I got my black belt in the gi, but I barely put the gi on anymore. Kids classes, beginners, I think they should wear it.
Yeah.
I think after that, if you want to do no gi or mixed martial arts, you shouldn't have a gi on. I just think that it's that simple, you know.
It seems like that's the way jiu-jitsu's kind of going. It is, yeah. You know,
it's splitting. It's split now into nearly two arts.
Yeah.
No gi and gi jiu-jitsu.
Well, it seems like the no gi is really gaining popularity. Is in the jiu-jitsu world. It's almost like its own sport.
Mm-hmm. It's exciting.
With all the new, all the new guards everyone's using, and the leg lock game that's really come out of nowhere now that everybody's searching for that little edge. You know what I mean? So it's fun to see how the sport's evolving. And I remember in when I first started going to Sarah's and doing jiu-jitsu, they're the best guys. They were only wearing the gi. The best black belts were always like in the gi, and I'd have to be like, all right, can we, like, I want to go with some good guys, no gi. It would be almost like kind of like annoying, like, all right, you're good, but I need to go with good guys in the no gi because I'm not fighting in the gi. So you know, and now it's totally switched where I mean, maybe I'm just that's the time I'm going to the gym, but I feel like they're more no gi, and they're really, we're going away. When we were in Melbourne for the fight, it was the ADCC was on. We were watching. It was massive. The no gi. No, I don't know. Are people watching the gi? I don't know.
Nah. Look, well, it's two different schools. I shouldn't say no. Gi grappling, it's still got a market. People are doing it. Some academies and some affiliations, that's their niche. So they kind of won't go away from it because that's their thing. But no gi's it's so much fun. It's more free flowing. It's a different beast. Like you said, it's a different thing. And I mean, you've got the best no gi guys. I mean, you got good gi guys, obviously, but for what you're doing, you got the best no gi guys right at your fingertips. So and we're going to go do it in a few minutes. We're actually going to be late for class. Sorry, Jason Rao. We're going to miss. We're going to be those guys that rock up after the warm up and technique. You know, the dudes that just cruise in for the roll. We're going to be those fucking.
We don't like being them, but you know what?
We're going to be those dudes.
Sometimes it's got to be done.
Look, I'd talk to you all night, Al, but we'll can it there, man. Thank you so much for talking to me today.
Oh, this is awesome.
All the people are going to love listening.
Shout out to the Australian people. I love the Australian people. I'll see you soon.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Catch ya.